Well, good morning and welcome back to our final segment of CityLine. With me, I have an organization here that we have not heard from in a while, but we're going to hear more from in the future, and that is Safe Streets. I always see their luncheon online once a year and the massive amounts of people who attend that luncheon, so I was really pleased to hear that they were going to be a guest today. Please join me in welcoming Priscilla Lisicich. That's a great last name. You are the Executive Director of Safe Streets. Welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you.
Good to have you in the house. And Mr. Wes Carter, you are the President of the Board of Directors for Safe Streets. Welcome, Wes.
Thank you, Amanda.
Good to have you here as well. And we indeed are going to have you back more often because there's always something happening with Safe Streets.
There is.
So first off, let's talk about what role, Priscilla, does Safe Streets play in our community? If someone's just moved here and doesn't know what Safe Streets is beyond the name, what is it?
Well, when Safe Streets started 29 years ago, I know, long time,
Yes.
the role that really was important in reclaiming our community from drugs, gangs, and violence was community engagement. Back then, we called it neighborhoods, get out and people volunteer and help to take the streets back. And so today, that role is still very relevant, and I'm quite proud because the national conversation now is about really focusing locally and people doing what they can do through citizen engagement at the local level. So it's a very strong model about inviting residents to get up out of their chairs,
Yes.
get involved, get out on the field, play the game. And then we do want to focus on young people building future leaders and inviting young people of all ages to become involved in making their communities better.
Yes, because it takes a village, doesn't it, Wes?
That's right.
It does. So we have some pictures we're going to show here, but Wes, I want you to answer this first and then I'll have Priscilla join in. What sort of events or, let's say, actions does the organization do in the community? Because we know about the luncheon, but there's so much more than that.
There's definitely so much more to
Yeah.
that. But for example, over the weekend, we had a community conference. And so we had multiple different breakout sessions in the conference. One was on the homelessness that we're experiencing here in Pierce County.
Yes.
Another one was on engagement of community members. And then another breakout session that I attended was on the opiate crisis that we're experiencing. And, you know, other than community conferences, we have graffiti removal, neighborhood cleanups, and then we also have our traditional block group meetings where we get the citizens together to talk about the issues in their neighborhood.
Wow. What would you add to that, Priscilla?
Well, the real foundation is our neighborhood organizations. And so there are some core leaders that usually will contact us and want to get organized in their area. We'll help them to identify their concerns, build an action plan. And there was a picture up a minute ago about mapping. We
Yes.
actually have people sit down and look at their neighborhood and start to map out what are the problem areas, where do they feel safe, where do they not feel safe, and also what are the resources that might exist. So they actually build their own picture of what their neighborhood looks like. And then they use that as a tool. We also provide them with demographic information because, you know, you go to a meeting and you look around and you say, there's a lot of other people that are here in our neighborhood, but that are not involved. So how, maybe they don't have time to come to the meeting, but how do we reach out to them? So making them really aware of ages of folks, ethnicities, how many young people are in the community, if there are people who are have particular talents and that sort of thing. That neighborhood organizing is really foundational And then those volunteers participate in the graffiti removal. One of the big events, I think, that has occurred over the last couple of years is we've been doing several community forums on key issues like homelessness. And we plan this next year to do some work on helping people to understand how they can really support prevention of opioid abuse.
Oh boy, and that's another hot topic.
It's
It
a very
really
hot topic,
is.
yeah.
So, Wes, what area does Safe Streets campaign serve?
So we serve all of Pierce County, all the way up from the Key Peninsula
Wow.
to the eastern side of unincorporated Pierce County. But if you look at our map, our primary focus is here in the city of Tacoma.
Okay. And does the Safe Streets only work with adult neighbors, or do you also work with like perhaps a Safe Street teen board or something like that?
So we have a program called Youth Leading Change, or we call it YLC. And they do a ton of different activities in the local high schools and the middle schools. And I have just an absolute blast watching them get together. So once a month they get together at the Safe Streets building. And they do games like Jeopardy, and these kids are so sharp. And so I'm just excited that they're in our schools and that they're, doing these different programs. Some of the programs that they focus on, like advocacy and legislation, down at the Capitol, bullying and suicide prevention. So I think those are key to bringing an awareness to the schools. And then they also have a leadership academy where they get together at a camp and they spend multiple days there doing different, leadership activities. And it's essentially the capstone to the graduation of the program.
Wow, that is impressive.
Because I'd like to add that we've developed our curriculums so that we're really focusing on social and emotional learning, which is critical if you're going to be successful in life. So we teach them a lot about problem solving, emotion management, how to deal with stress and anxiety, how to be a part of a team. So things that they will be able to carry with them through the rest of their lives.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So how is this organization funded, Priscilla?
We have public partnerships with the City of Tacoma, which is a wonderful funder and partner, and Pierce County, Tacoma School District. Many businesses in the community contribute, and we have individual donors as well as, I call them legacy donors, people who really donate at that high level and who've done so for a long period of time. So it's a public-private partnership. And as you mentioned, our champion gala, we have once a year, and has been a luncheon. This next year, we're celebrating 30 years, so we're going to do a gala in the evening for once, just a one-time
Just
thing.
a one-time shot.
We're going to do that one time and really have fun and really celebrate, and because it's quite an accomplishment for an organization like this to be living that long and to have the kind of partnerships that we have with the city and the county. And it cannot, we've had wonderful advocacy from our legislative delegation, so we do get some state funding, and they particularly advocate for that for us.
There we are. Well, when you think about a very successful corporation, and if that corporation had to recycle their employees, let's say every year, and they moved out of the building, but it was still held accountable to be successful, that would be a tall order. But that's what Safe Streets does, because neighborhoods can be transient. I mean, you can have someone who's a really great leader in this sector and then they get transferred and move away. Right. Or you can have a neighborhood that suddenly is full of children and their needs change. Right. But Safe Streets continues to perform at such a high level with a high bar, regardless of who is in those neighborhoods. And that can't be overlooked.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because we always talk about meeting people where they are.
Yes.
And so staying engaged, There are some core leaders who help us, make those transitions, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
We have to continually assess where is that neighborhood and what are the needs.
Exactly. So speaking of that, Wes, in this last 2 minutes, what's ahead for the Safe Streets campaign?
Well, the board we spent over a year working on our strategic priorities and our strategic plan. And the big focus within that strategic plan is community engagement.
Great.
And also focusing on business partnerships. That's another important aspect for the funding model of Safe Streets. And, getting these businesses, local businesses, connected with the members of the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's such an easy thing to say, but investing in partnerships takes time.
Right.
And the work goes on regardless of what the partnership is. So speaking of that, who do we need to thank, Priscilla, for all of this collaboration that's gone on
Right.
for 29 years?
Well, first and foremost, all those grassroots volunteers who are out there day after day doing the work of Safe Streets, because that is what Safe Streets
Yes.
is. It's not us, it's the people in the community. And all of our youth who volunteer at the after-school clubs, they call them community action clubs. And then, of course, our donors. I really am deeply grateful to our board of directors, and it's a representation
Yes.
of people who are from the public sector and the private sector and community activists. So it's a wonderful board. And then the staff is just remarkable.
They've got to be.
They really are, and it's an incredible team of people. We have a culture of teamwork. And I'm just thrilled to be able to work with them. I feel inspired every day when I go to the office and here's the team really working, and people, it's such a welcoming atmosphere. We have new employees who come in and they say, I love working at this place. This is like really cool. And it just makes my heart sing.
Well, the two of you make my heart sing in the sense of your dedication to our city and to our neighborhoods, and therefore families and individuals. So thank you so much for all that you do between the hours of 9 to 5 and between the hours of 5:01 until 8:59 the next morning.
That's right.
Because that's when a lot of the stuff happens after hours. So thank you so much. And you have a permanent place every quarter on this couch, so I want to see you back here.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Welcome.
We will be back.
All right. Well, that wraps up another great segment of CityLine. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be in your home. We've given you a lot of great things to think about in this last hour, so please go out there, be a part of the tapestry, and above all, pay it forward. And when you come back, we'll be waiting for you right here at CityLine. Take care.